When famine empties the house of bread and graves outnumbered chairs at the table, what can still be redeemed? Under a pale sky, Naomi counts the steps back to Bethlehem, the way a tired heart counts breaths. She left full and returns with a foreign daughter and a name she can barely say without breaking. At a dusty crossroads, one daughter turns back. The other, Ruth, takes Naomi's arm like a pledge. Her promise is simple enough to memorize and fierce enough to live on. Where you go, I will go. Your people will be my people. Your God, my God. No trumpet, no crowd, just two women, sore feet, and a vow that sounds like a small lantern in a long night. In Bethlehem, the air smells like cut stalks. Harvest is beginning, and ordinary work hums in the fields. Ruth does what hunger teaches the brave to do. She will glean. She will walk behind the reapers, gather what drops, and carry it home. Love puts on sandals. Loyalty keeps pace with the sun. Somewhere beyond sight, Providence is lacing quiet threads through the day. Holy God, look upon the widow and the stranger, upon those who carry loss in both hands. Give us courage to walk in faithful love, shelter beneath your wings, and daily bread for the next step. Teach us to trust your kindness when fields look empty and nights run long. Amen. A simple path waits at first light. One field, one owner, one meeting that changes everything. Keep watching. Hope is about to turn into a name. What unseen hands can turn an ordinary morning into a doorway for redemption? Ruth wakes early, ties her cloak, and asks permission to glean. The humble right of the poor and the stranger, the mercy written into Israel's edges. She happens into a field belonging to Boaz, a man of standing from Elimelech's clan. Providence often walks with quiet feet. No voice from heaven, no blaze of fire, just a widow's steady choice and a God who arranges the day while the dew still clings to the barley. Boaz comes from town with a greeting that feels like rain on dry ground. The Lord be with you. And the reapers answer, the Lord bless you. He notices the unfamiliar woman keeping to the edges, watches the careful way she gathers what others miss. He asks the foreman. The report is a simple sketch. Ruth left Moab, clung to Naomi, and has worked hard with only a brief rest. Boaz walks over himself. He tells her to stay with his maidens, to drink from his jars, and he warns the young men to leave her in peace. Righteousness looks like this when it puts on work clothes, protection before profit, welcome before calculation. Ruth bows, dust lifting at her knees. Why have I found favor in your eyes since I am a foreigner? Boaz answers with what he's heard and what he believes he has learned of her courage and loyalty. Then he blesses her with bigger shelter. The Lord repay you, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. The field becomes a sanctuary and a sentence. The edges where she gathers become an altar where a tired heart can rest. At mealtime, he invites her to sit with the reapers. Come, eat some bread, dip your morsel in the sour wine. She eats until she is satisfied and saves some for Naomi. After the meal, he gives quiet orders. Let grain fall on purpose. Don't scold her. Don't shame her. Ruth gathers until the light leans west and beats out roughly an ephah. More than an armful, less than a miracle, exactly what kindness can carry. She returns to Naomi, panting a little under the weight. The old house fills with the smell of barley and warm bread kept back from the table. Naomi's eyes widen. Where did you glean today? Blessed be the man who noticed you. Ruth says the name, Boaz. Something softens in Naomi's face, like ice surrendering to a stream. The man is a close relative of ours, one of our redeemers. The word redeemer, goel, is more than legal. It is kinship set to music, the duty to restore what has been scraped thin and to raise a name that is fading. 3 simple lines hold the day together. First, humble initiative. Ruth rises to do the next right thing, and obedience becomes a pathway for providence. Second, protective kindness. Boaz uses strength to shield, supply, and dignify. Third, awakened hope. Naomi tastes blessing again and remembers that God can still write mercy into a family's future. The sun will set, but the story will not sleep. Night will carry Ruth to a threshing floor, and a quiet request will be laid like a mantle at a Redeemer's feet. What does faithful love look like when hope must speak softly and boldly in the same breath? The threshing is done. Wind has lifted chaff from grain, and the scent of cut stalks hangs in the air. Naomi, reading the season the way a farmer reads clouds, tells Ruth to wash, anoint, and go to the threshing floor. Do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking, she says. When he lies down, note the place. Then go, uncover his feet, and lie down. He will tell you what to do. This is not a flirtation in the dark. It is the language of covenant approaching a covenant duty. Ruth answers with the trust that carried her from Moab. All that you say, I will do. The night air is cool. Ruth moves like a prayer that knows how to be quiet. Boaz sleeps near the heap of grain, the way a good man guards the work that feeds a town. At midnight, the chill at his feet wakes him. He twists, startled. Who are you? A beat of silence. I am Ruth, your servant, she says. Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer. The words reach back to his blessing in the field, refuge under God's wings, and bring it near, asking it to take shape in his house. In the old tongue, the same word can mean wing and the corner of a garment. Ruth is asking for more than warmth. She is asking for belonging, for a name to stand over her, and Naomi like a roof. Boaz does not flinch. He blesses her again, this time with a promise braided into it. He calls her kindness greater now than before, because she has not chased youth or wealth. Then he says what every town already knows. All my fellow townsmen know that you are a worthy woman. The phrase for worthy echoes the word used of Boaz himself. Integrity recognizes its mirror. What began as favor in a field becomes honor in the night, but honor has an order. Boaz names it. There is a nearer redeemer. He must be offered the right to redeem first. If he will redeem you, good, let him. But if he will not, as the Lord lives, I will redeem you. He keeps her by his feet until morning for safety, then sends her away early to protect her name. No rumor will be given the chance to stain what God intends to make clean. Before she goes, he pours 6 measures of barley into her cloak, a weighty promise in everyday grain. At dawn, Ruth returns to Naomi. The house that once knew only bitterness now knows how to wait. Ruth tells everything, the request under the stars, the vow, the nearest kin, the grain heavy in her arms. Naomi listens and nods, like a woman who knows the speed of honorable men. Wait, my daughter, she says, for the man will not rest, but will settle the matter today. 3 cords are tied tight in the night first, holy boldness. Ruth asks for redemption clearly, within the bounds of covenant. Second, honorable restraint. Boaz protects purity as carefully as he protects Ruth. Third, steadfast timing. Naomi counsels patience, because true redemption is never hurried and never crooked. Daylight will test every word the gate is opening. Elders are taking their seats. A sandal will change hands and a name will be lifted back onto its lampstand. When redemption must be proved in the daylight, love walks to the city gate and speaks so clearly that no shadow can undo it. Boaz reaches the gate at first light, the way a craftsman reaches his bench, on time, prepared, steady. He gathers 10 elders. The nearer kinsman passes by, and Boaz invites him to sit. The matter is laid out simply. Naomi must part with the portion that belonged to Elimelech. The nearer kinsman agrees at first. Fields look like opportunity. Then Boaz brings the whole picture into view. On the day you buy the field from Naomi, you also acquire Ruth the Moabite, the widow of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance. The man pauses. He does the math that never fits on paper. Cost, complication, the pull of his own house. He steps back. I cannot redeem it from myself, lest I impair my own inheritance. He removes his sandal and hands it to Boaz, the old sign that finishes a transaction in front of witnesses. A private kindness becomes a public covenant. Boaz stands. He speaks to elders and people with the same clean strength he showed in the field. You are witnesses this day I have bought all that belonged to Elimelech, and also Ruth the Moabite I take to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead on his inheritance, that his name may not be cut off. He does not brag, he blesses. He sets a lamp back on its stand. The elders answer in chorus. They speak Rachel and Leah, who built the house of Israel. They speak Perez, born through Tamar, in a story that learned how grace can run through tangled roots. May this house be like that house, they say. Blessing is not decoration. It is agreement with what heaven is doing in plain sight. The wedding is bright and ordinary, the best kind of holy bread, olives, laughter in the courtyard. Ruth, once a gleaner, walks through a door opened by covenant. The Lord gives a child. The women gather around Naomi and sing a blessing she never thought she'd hear. Blessed be the Lord who has not left you this day without a redeemer. He shall be to you a restorer of life and a sustainer of your old age. Naomi takes the baby, presses him to the place where grief used to ache, and Bree's neighbors name him Obed. He will be the father of Jesse, the father of David. The ledger of loss has been answered with a lineage. 3 truths stand firm where the elders sit first. Redemption honors order, desire yields to covenant. The right is offered, declined, and the promise proceeds cleanly. Second, redemption protects names. Fields matter, but families matter more. A fading line is raised. Third, redemption bears fruit. Love walked in the light, and its blessing will outlive the hands that first received it. Redeeming God, write our promises in the daylight and keep our feet within your ways. Give us courage to honor order, tenderness to protect the weak, and patience to wait for your timing. Heal our bitterness with your kindness. Let our homes become places where names are restored and hope is born. Amen. The gate has spoken. A child sleeps in Naomi's arms. Now the story gathers its meaning, how a quiet mercy in Bethlehem becomes a banner of hope that reaches farther than anyone guessed. When a broken road is gathered into a single name, redemption stops being a distant idea and becomes a lineage you can hold. Trace the line with your finger. A field became a table became a home became a child. The child grew into a name that would steady a nation. Obed, Jesse, David. The music begins soft in Ruth and Naomi's laughter, and the melody deepens across years until a shepherd will stand before a giant and a throne will rise in Bethlehem's shadow. What began with a handful of gleanings turns into a promise with a future. Hold 3 truths close. First, redemption proves itself by steadfast love. Ruth's "I will go" did not thunder in palaces, but it held when storms broke, people thin. Her loyalty became shelter big enough for Naomi's grief and wide enough for Boaz's courage to walk through. When love refuses to leave, heaven loves to lift it. Second, redemption stands up in the daylight. Boaz did not hide mercy in a corner or bend the rules in the dark. He brought the matter to the elders, honored the nearest kin, and spoke his vow where all could hear it. Blessing followed like sunlight on water, not as decoration, but as recognition. Integrity invites favor, and a name set back on its lampstand can light more than one room. Third, redemption bears fruit that outlives the first receivers. The gift is personal, but it is never private. Naomi's empty arms learned to rest. Ruth's courage learns to sing. Boaz's strength learns to carry a future. The child in Naomi's lap is not only comfort, he is a hinge. Through him, God swings open a door to David, and one day to a greater son from this very town, when another Bethlehem night will hold another impossible mercy. Gather these threads and let your heart breathe. The Holy One does not waste faithfulness. He weaves it. He ties it to ordinary mornings and difficult nights, to vows kept and names spoken with care, to grain measured out in cloaks heavy with promise. He writes it where elders sit and where widows weep. He lets the world see that gentle strength still moves mountains, and that kindness set in order becomes a banner for those who come after. If this chapter helped you see redemption with clearer eyes, like, share, and subscribe so more hearts can find this gate of hope. In the comments, tell which moment spoke to you most: Ruth's loyal vow, Boaz's daylight covenant, or Naomi's arms cradling a future. Next episode, David and Goliath, faith that conquers fear. A sling will circle, a stone will fly, and the Lord will teach again what courage looks like when trust stands tall.